That will bring us to item number 12, which is public participation. As always, the board welcomes and encourages public participation. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures and decorum provided in board policy, BEDH, public participation at meetings. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and Dr. Harris will be keeping time for us. And questions asked during public participation will be handled in accordance with board policy, BEDH. And I would remind you from that policy that the privilege of addressing the board does not include the ability to make personal attacks on any board member, district employee, or other member of the public. So with that, I would ask our one participant that signed up tonight, Ms. Kim Murphy, to come to the microphone. Ms. Murphy.
Good evening. I'd first like to set the record straight. But first, I feel, Mr. Chair and Mr. White, you are attempting to censor the public. You have chastised me for using the word corruption, for suggesting that a forensic audit would be beneficial to District 5 to uncover fraud, waste, and abuse. And in fact, you have threatened to have me removed by law enforcement officers when I mentioned that, which embarrassed and humiliated me. And at the last evening, you stated that I could not use the names of board members. If that's
Murphy,
not
that's
censorship,
part of
I
our
don't know what that
policy.
is.
Part of our policy talks about personal attacks on any board member. So when you mention a board member and then you go to your words that you just used, that's a personal attack. So I'll just warn you again right there before you go any further. You've rehashed this the last about 4 meetings. So go ahead, tell us about forensic audit, and let's move forward with it.
At the last board meeting, when my question had not yet been answered to why Derrick Pond site purchased several years ago for $600,000, some of which 4 members on this board voted to condemn, both of you and Mr. White emphatically stated that you have not condemned land.
Ms.
Well,
Murphy,
you know what?
I'm going to stop you there for a false statement. Part of our policy says that false statements can be corrected. There's never been any vote by this board or any board that I've sat on to condemn property. Now, you phrase that in a certain way that I don't even really know what you're referring to. Certain members of the board voted to condemn property. That has never happened. You need to bring the facts forward.
I've got them.
Minutes will provide them.
I am.
Provide them.
I'm going to read from them.
Well, when you get through reading from them, will you give them to Ms. Stowers or Ms. Goggins? Because we've been
Sure.
looking through, trying to research statements that you make, and we can't corroborate what you're talking about at all.
Well, fine.
If you will
that's
provide
fine.
it. All right. We're going to start your time back again. Remember the name part, remember the word part, wherever you want to go, but try to stay within our board policy.
Well, you haven't actually completed condemnation proceedings that I'm aware of, but you voted to condemn land, and landowners were forced to sell. But I want to read a few comments from public documents, and I'll be happy to show them, but it's been done a number of times. December 2010 minutes. Ms. Hutchinson made the motion. Mr. White seconded it. I move that the school district bring a condemnation action to obtain the remaining 2.7 acres known as Parcel E of the Derrick Pond Road property. Mr. Gant, White, Baumgartner, and Hutchinson supported it. 3 board members did not, including Ms. Hammond.
And I would like to ask you to please tell me the date of that meeting.
December 2010.
December 2010, that's when that vote took place?
Yes.
Ms. Goggins, would you please note that? Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And when apparently you had discovered after the vote to buy the property in June of 2010, the Derrick Pond Road property, that no schools were allowed to be built on a road classified by the county as local, you again threatened condemnation. In a letter dated March 21st, 2011 from the property owner, that Mr. Derrick wrote, it's March 21st, this is to inform all parties that we are officially withdrawing our former offer that was signed August 2006 in regard to any dedication or alteration of our properties in regard to the proposed school located adjacent to our property. We are also opposed to any changes to Derrick Pond Road and do not wish to participate in any future alterations of our property by the school district. That document that was signed was done so under duress and without legal representation on our part and with a threat of condemnation and eminent domain. from the school district of Richland Lexington 5. Sincerely, Hoyt and Erlene Derrick. And even before that, land on Broad River Road. May I continue?
30 seconds.
Thank you. Mr. Chow, he says, all we want is for you to become, excuse me, I'm nervous, I'm upset. You've put me in a very uncomfortable situation. These are legitimate concerns, not just from me, but from the public. I am writing to you as a disquieted owner of a 10-acre property. As you know, I have been contacted on several occasions recently by the real estate representative of School District 5 disclosing the district's intentions to either purchase or condemn our land. We would like to convey to you that our keeping of our property is first and most desirable choice. All we want is for you to be honest with us, don't misrepresent, spend responsibly on educating our kids, and not lining other people's pockets, which some of us feel is going on here.
Ms. Murphy,
But it's red flags like this that seem to warrant a forensic audit.
your time is up, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Gann. Can I say something for,
Let's let Ms. Murphy take her seat.
for the record, you don't condemn land unless you file an action in court and there's court records. So there are no condemnation actions. I don't know, the conversations from 2010, you know, that, I'm sure y'all look up those minutes, but there's a story there that's not being told. There's not, the full and accurate story is not being told here, but there is no condemnation action. Or you could go to court records and cite it and pull the documents and print it and publish them and all that, and that doesn't exist.
I'd like just a moment of public privilege from this board, and that is, I want to say to our board members, each and every one of you, to our staff, we have a very honorable staff, and our students here at School District 5. I know you've noticed that every week that we have a board meeting, I personally struggle with getting people to adhere to our board policy. I ask them to. We've got a very good policy. We put it in place. But I can't put words back in people's mouths once they say them. So I want to apologize to you all for that, not having that ability, but I don't know of anybody that does. We have a good policy. If people would follow that policy, we wouldn't have any problem at all. For the record, I've tried the best I can. I know you all have tried. It's very frustrating. It's frustrating for all of us to have statements made that we obviously know are wrong. Mr. White, I appreciate what you said. Part of our policy says we can address and correct erroneous information. Trust me, as your chairman, I try very hard. You work and try very hard. This staff works very hard. You go the extra mile for the students in this community every day, and you're very much appreciated. We have calls constantly, not just from one person. We've had it from several people. Forensic audits are called for. Suggestions of community members to conduct those audits at no cost. Handouts are brought to us about new revolutions that are going on that started actually 2006. We don't know where that is. And numerous to our staff and communication. I don't know how you keep up with the FOIA request, but you do somehow. So I just say to all of you, keep up the good work. The School District 5 students and this community deserve, and they're dependent on it. And what you do is good work every day. And please excuse me for my inability to keep control of our public participation at times. So that's just from my heart. I know how much we appreciate as a board what this district does. So thank you very much. And that brings us to item number.
Yeah.
Mr. Hawthorne, yes.
Well, I think you do a pretty good job under the circumstances, and I would say that you're much more patient than most of us are. And I would like to also say with a comment, and I have not addressed this in all the times that I've been here, in terms of referring to the statement of lining pockets and things like that. I guess I'm a part of what you're talking about, and since I am, I personally would like to say that that is not something that is going on to my knowledge. And to use that kind of language is really not something should be done. We had a young man that came up when the students were here talking about what type of school they attend. I heard comments like, this is a family, the teachers are great. It seems to me like every now and then, with all the good things that are going on in this district, something good could be said. We are not perfect, and neither are you. So that means that occasionally people make mistakes, whatever they might be. But it does appear to me that, again, with all the great things going on in the district, if you don't believe me, just go to lexrich5.org and click on that video and view the video yourself. You don't have to believe anybody. Just view the things, all the good things that are going on. And life would be much more, we make life too difficult, honestly. It's really not that difficult, as difficult as we make it. So my suggestion is that let's try to be a little bit more positive in how we live our lives and how we conduct ourselves and make accusations that, from my standpoint, you cannot prove. And that's not a good thing to do. Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you very much. That brings us to item number 13 under our action agenda. And those are items, action as necessary and appropriate on matters discussed in executive session. We only have